In Chapter 1, Merrick Nahar, presumed dead and disfigured by burns, hides in Lovitz while seeking information on a prisoner named Garen Leary. Disguised, he navigates the chaos of Judgment Square, haunted by memories of Cullen and Sophia. His goal is to expose his sister Vivia's corruption. Merrick infiltrates the prison records hut, using his wind magic to overpower guards and force a clerk to reveal Garen's fate. He learns Garen was sold to Pin's Keep, a charitable institution run by Vivia, providing Merrick a lead to prove her guilt. As soldiers close in, a desperate woman and her sons mistake Merrick for a vengeful spirit and beg for mercy. Instead, he gives them keys to free prisoners, urging them to flee. Merrick escapes into the crowds, determined to continue his mission despite his pain and the false belief that he's a dead man. In Chapter 2, Sophia von Hostral is stranded with Empress Vanessa of Marstock on a ship anchored off the contested lands. Bored and restless, Safi regrets joining Vanessa, having traded her Truth Witch powers to aid Marstock's politics and New Brevna's cause. During one of Vanessa's endless briefings, an assassin disguised as a sailor attacks, but Vanessa's magic halts the bullet and her guard kills the attacker. A second explosion destroys the warship, forcing Vanessa to shield them with her iron magic as Safi rows them to shore. Exhausted and surrounded by black sea fire, Safi saves the weakened Empress and contemplates fleeing to Saldonica, but decides she cannot survive alone. Her threadstone suddenly glows, signaling that Isolde is alive. Realizing they are still hunted, Vanessa insists they head toward Saldonica to regroup, and Safi follows, weary yet resolute to face whatever awaits them in the dark. In Chapter 3, Isolde et Medenzi flees through a freezing mountain stream in the northern contested lands, pursued by four cleaved. Her salamander fiber cloak fails to hide her scent, and isolation dulls her threadwitch senses. She reflects on her separation from Safi, the awakening of the Kar Awin, and the growing threat of the puppeteer, a weaver witch who controls the cleaved. When her threadstone flashes, Isolde realizes both she and Safi may be in danger. She stumbles upon a Nomatsi road lined with deadly traps disguised by morning glories. Moving cautiously, she lures the cleaved into triggering the traps, but one continues stalking her, clearly controlled by the puppeteer. As Isolde tries to act, the final trap snares both her and the last cleaved, whom the puppeteer then kills remotely. Left hanging in the trees, but momentarily safe, Isolde prepares to cut herself free and continue her journey. In Chapter 4, Merrick hides in Lovitz as a storm approaches, planning his next move toward Pin's Keep. He takes refuge in a temple, overhearing townsfolk gossip that his sister, Princess Vivia, shows no grief for his supposed death and might cancel his funeral. Furious, Merrick reflects on her hunger for power and the corruption she represents. Soon after, his ally Cam finds him, bringing food and warning that soldiers are searching the streets. Despite their banter, they prepare to slip into Old Town unseen. Meanwhile, in the palace, Vivia faces the High Council's resistance as they propose an alliance with the anti-magic purists in exchange for food and protection. Outraged, she uses her Tide Witch power to silence them, declaring there will be no purist deal and reducing their rations instead. Determined to claim the throne, Vivia resolves to rule without regret or weakness. In Chapter 5, Edwin arrives at a purist compound on the New Brevnan border to meet his father's ally, the priest Corlant. Though late and empty-handed after losing the silver meant for this mission, Edwin conceals the truth and endures Corlant's taunts. The priest reveals that he needs Edwin's help finding someone, a Nomatsi thread witch named Isolde et Medenzi, last seen in Lena. Edwin hides his reaction, knowing Isolde personally, while Corlant insists she possesses something that belongs to him. He gives Edwin a bloodied Nomatsi arrowhead containing her blood to track her by scent, and warns that she must not be killed. In exchange, Corlant will lie to the king and say Edwin delivered the silver. Though Edwin despises Corlant and the purists, he accepts the task, planning to find Isolde on his own terms while concealing his true intentions. In Chapter 6, Merrick and Cam navigate through Old Town to hide from soldiers and find shelter in Cullen's former apartment. Inside, memories of his fallen friend overwhelm Merrick as he discovers the room preserved and filled with books. Among them, he finds the true tale of the 12 paladins containing a tarot card from Ryber and a marked passage foretelling vengeance from the dead. Interpreting it as a clue linking Cullen's death and the attack on his ship to Vivia, Merrick resolves to use this evidence to prove her guilt. He finally embraces his Nihar rage, vowing to channel it into saving New Brevna. Meanwhile, Vivia explores the underground lake beneath Lovitz, the ancient source of royal power once shown to her by her mother. As she connects to the lake's magic, she notices creatures fleeing in terror, signaling that something dangerous stirs deep below the city. In Chapter 7, Sophia and Empress Vanessa struggle through the jungles of the contested lands after surviving the shipwreck, dehydrated and exhausted. When Vanessa collapses, Safi discovers her weeping for her fallen crew, the Adders, whom she loved as family. Reasserting her strength, Vanessa vows revenge against Emperor Henrik and the Kartorans. The two continue west toward Saldonica, joking briefly about nicknames to lift their spirits until a storm forces them to seek shelter. While Safi gathers rainwater, she's ambushed by Hellbards, elite Kartoran soldiers sworn to hunt witches. Outnumbered, she's captured by Commander Fitzgrieg, who reveals that Henrik ordered her capture. Moments later, the Hellbards bring in an unconscious Vanessa bound in a heretic's collar that suppresses magic. Powerless and restrained, Safi recalls her training and resolves to study her captors and wait for an opportunity to escape as they march toward a nearby settlement. In Chapter 8, Edwin flees the Purist compound, pretending to follow orders while secretly investigating Corlent's arrowhead, which bears no trace of Isolt's blood. Frustrated, he recalls their past encounter and connection before tracking his stolen silver coins. The scent leads him into a Nomatsi trap, where a bear trap mangles his leg. Though his witchery begins to heal the wound, exhaustion overcomes him, and he collapses unconscious in the forest. Elsewhere, Isolt frees herself from Nomatsi traps and scavenges supplies from an abandoned camp. When she returns to retrieve her lost coins, she finds Edwin injured and unconscious. Studying him, she realizes he is part Nomatsi and not the monster she once believed. She unbuckles his baldric, discovers blood seeping from 6 mysterious wounds, and steals his weapons before retreating to her camp. There, she hides his knives and waits for him to awaken. In Chapter 9, Merrick hides in Cullen's apartment, haunted by his disfigurement and the title Fury whispered through Lovitz. When Cam finally returns with food, she warns that soldiers are searching for him and hesitantly questions his belief that Vivia tried to kill him. Merrick insists his sister is guilty and that proof lies in Pin's Keep, but Cam reveals a second explosion destroyed the Empress of Marstock's ship, killing everyone aboard, including Sophia von Hustral. Devastated, Merrick wanders into the rain, blaming himself for Safi's death and vowing revenge. Meanwhile, Vivia inspects the city's watchtower, strengthening her resolve to protect Nubrevna. Her pirate fleet, the Foxes, secures vital supplies, but a sudden earthquake shakes Lovitz, threatening the city and its dam. As the ground stills, both siblings face new resolve. Vivia to safeguard her people, and Merrick to embrace the fury and bring retribution to those who wronged him. In Chapter 10, Sophia and Empress Vanessa remain prisoners of the Hellbards as they march through the jungle. Safi's taunts fail to provoke the Silent Commander until Vanessa awakens and attacks, giving Safi a chance to fight back. She injures the commander, revealed to be Caden Fitzgrieg, the chiseled cheater who once deceived her in Vanaza City, but is quickly subdued again when Lev returns. Realizing the Hellbards intend to keep her and Vanessa alive for Emperor Henrik, Safi begins studying their weaknesses. Meanwhile, Edwin awakens healed from his injuries to find Isolt nearby. She has hidden his knives and proposes an alliance, which he accepts cautiously as they seek shelter together. Back in the jungle, Safi endures brutal restraint and interrogation, overhearing Vanessa threaten vengeance against the Hellbards. Safi silently vows the same, determined to make Caden and the Empire pay for everything they've taken. In Chapter 11, Vivia returns to the palace after inspecting the dam, exhausted and anxious to face her father, King Regent Seraphin. She finds him frail but still commanding, and during their conversation, he names her Admiral of the Fleet. When Seraphin confronts her for secretly canceling negotiations with Marstock, Vivia tries to defend her decision, claiming it was to protect Nubrevna's interests, but her father's disappointment leaves her shaken. Though he insists he only worries for her, Vivia feels both guilt and resentment, realizing how deeply she still seeks his approval. Later, she walks the palace ground with the steward before visiting her late mother's secluded garden. There, she reflects on Queen Gianna's descent into madness and her obsession with the black irises she loved. Vivia vows she won't share her mother's fate and forces herself to leave the memories and darkness behind. In Chapter 12, Merrick follows Cam through the ruined streets of the Skulks to Pin's Keep, a crowded shelter at the heart of Nubrevna's suffering. Cam, revealed to be Camilla Leary, helps him sneak inside, where Merrick searches for evidence linking his sister, Vivia, to an assassination attempt. In Vivia's private office, he finds records showing the assassin Garen was traded to a man named Sarah Linde, a connection that deepens his suspicions but offers no proof. He also discovers troubling data revealing New Brevna's food shortages and a marked map of the city's cisterns, with a meeting time noted. Before he can leave, he's confronted by Styx, a powerful water witch who restrains him with ice. Forced to unleash his winds as the Fury, Merrick breaks free, terrifying Styx into believing the mythic figure is real. Wounded but alive, he escapes into the storm, his identity and rage unchained. In Chapter 13, Isolde and Aeduan share a tense meal, each testing the other's limits. Isolde offers to return Aeduan's stolen coins if he helps her track Sophia, the Truth Witch. After careful negotiation, Aeduan agrees to the uneasy alliance, making it clear they travel together only temporarily. Meanwhile, Sophia, still bound by the Hellbards, observes that Commander Caden, the chiseled cheater, is wounded and weaker. She manipulates him with polite conversation, probing for information, and learns that Hellbards are immune to magic because they are already dead. Later that night, Aeduan keeps watch while Isolde sleeps. Restless, he washes by a stream and nearly attacks her when she startles him, realizing again that he cannot sense her with his blood magic. To prevent future mistakes, Isolde suggests he give her a blood-marked coin so he can always track her. Aeduan agrees, sealing their fragile, reluctant partnership. In Chapter 14, Merrick secretly infiltrates the Linde family's greenhouse at night, determined to question Visor Sarah Linde about the assassin Garen. After narrowly avoiding tripwires and alarms, he finds Linde terrified and unstable. Disguised as the Fury, Merrick interrogates him, demanding answers about Garen's fate. Linde panics, claiming he must lie or be killed by a shadow man. Before he can explain, bells ring and a wall of darkness floods the greenhouse. The shadow man appears, an inhuman figure cloaked in living night, and demands an unnamed object from Linde. When the visor fails to produce it, he's killed, his throat crushed as his blood turns to shadow. Merrick fights back with his wind magic and escapes, but the creature pursues him. As he takes flight, the shadows overtake him, consuming his power and dragging him into icy darkness. He plummets into water, sinking into unconsciousness and near death. In Chapter 15, Isolde dreams of the puppeteer Esme, who invades her mind through the dreaming. Esme accuses Isolde of killing her cleaved soldiers, men she claims were sent to protect her. When Esme discovers that Isolde is traveling with the Blood Witch Aeduan, she panics, warning that he has no threads and cannot be controlled by Weaver Witches, making him extremely dangerous. Esme urges Isolde to flee before he kills her and forces her awake. Meanwhile, Sophia and Empress Vanessa are marched by the Hellbards through the jungle and into the marshlands toward the city of Saldonica. Vanessa protests entering Baited pirate territory, claiming they'll kill her on sight, but Safi senses she's lying and suspects a hidden agenda. Despite Vanessa's warnings, Caden orders his soldiers to disguise both women with helmets and lead them across the bridge into Baited territory, unaware that Vanessa is plotting something. In Chapter 16, Vivia is summoned before dawn by Visor Sarah Linde, who claims the Fury attacked him in his greenhouse. She inspects the scene and finds a burned corpse marked by strange, moving shadows. Linde insists the Fury demanded he locate a missing origin well, though Vivia has never heard of one. While he fetches water, she discovers a hidden trapdoor leading to underground tunnels that connect to the secret lake her mother once protected. Uneasy, she suspects Linde knows more than he admits. Meanwhile, Merrick survives the canal and is rescued by Cam. Back at their shelter, he confides what he found in Vivia's office, a map of the cisterns marked with meeting times. Cam helps interpret it, suggesting Vivia has meetings beneath the city. Merrick resolves to investigate the tunnels and find a gang threatening Cam, determined to protect New Brevna and confront the shadow power consuming his home. In Chapter 17, Sophia, Empress Vanessa, and the Hellbards reach the pirate republic of Saldonica, a sprawling city of ruins, markets, and warring factions ruled by the Bait-eyed pirates. As they pass through the crowded gates, Safi observes the city's order and abundance, but her Truth Witch senses warn her when Vanessa fakes fear of being seen. Vanessa intentionally exposes her identity to baited soldiers, signaling a secret plan. Forced into hiding, the Hellbards secure lodging in a cramped tower inn after every other is full for the upcoming festival, Bailey's Slaughter. There, Caden removes Safi's bindings, tends her wounds, and reveals his body is covered in scars identical to those of his soldiers. Their guarded conversation exposes their clashing ideals. Safi's longing for freedom versus Caden's belief in order and compromise. Despite their enmity, a reluctant understanding forms, while Vanessa quietly prepares her next move. In Chapter 18, Isolde awakens beside Aeduan after a restless night haunted by Esme's warnings about the Blood Witch. Determined to keep moving toward Safi, she hunts while Aeduan meditates, then reluctantly follows his lead east through the contested lands. He guides her using his witchery, tracking Safi's distant scent, but warns her the path ahead is perilous. When they reach the Amonra River, Aeduan decides to leave briefly to fetch horses, telling Isolde to hide. Secretly, he's following a different trail, the lingering scent of the person who once stole his coins. Tracking it into the forest, Aeduan discovers an allied force of baited and red sail pirates marching toward a purist compound, searching for a thread witch near the falls. Realizing Isolde is their target, Aeduan prepares to intervene, but a fire witch spots him and sets the forest ablaze. Overwhelmed by flames, Aeduan barely escapes, fleeing through the burning woods. In Chapter 19, Merrick wakes in Lovitz and joins Cam on a mission to find the cisterns, the hidden tunnels beneath the city. Following Cam's lead through the crowded wharves and decaying markets, they descend underground, passing families and beggars until Cam guides him through an old warded tunnel. When they emerge, she reveals the vast secret network she calls the Cisterns, home to the city's forgotten poor. Meanwhile, Vivia dives into the underground lake to investigate strange new waters caused by a quake. She discovers a fresh spring feeding the dam, threatening to flood the city, and suspects Seret Linde is tied to the danger and to the missing origin well, possibly the mythical Void Well. Elsewhere, Isolde, left alone by Aeduan, is ambushed by 6 armed men near the Amonra River. With no escape, she makes a desperate choice, leaping into the raging rapids to survive. In Chapter 20, after bathing, Safi and Vanessa are forced back into their filthy clothes before Xander brings them new gowns. While changing, Safi discovers her threadstone blinking, proof that Isolde is in danger. Vanessa quietly reveals she has allied with the baited pirates who plan to help them escape. Before they can act, Caden arrives, orders Safi to dress, and escorts her through the foul streets of Saldonica's Red Sail territory. He explains they are meeting an admiral and needs Safi's Truthwitch ability to confirm information. Safi refuses to use her magic, but Caden claims she unconsciously reveals truth through a visible tell, meaning he can still use her without her cooperation. As they reach the Gilded Rose Tavern for the interrogation, Safi realizes Vanessa's escape plan and her own mission to reach Isolde are about to collide with Caden's dangerous agenda in pirate territory. In Chapter 21, Merrick and Cam journey deep beneath the cisterns toward the marked location on Vivia's map, descending into the foul tunnels known as Shite Street. As floodwaters threaten to surge, Merrick insists Cam stay behind, but she refuses. They press on through the sewage and emerge inside the royal storerooms beneath the palace. There, Merrick discovers foreign food supplies, evidence that Vivia has been secretly trading with other nations and hoarding goods while New Brevna starves. Before they can leave, they find a dying guard with the same missing finger as the assassin Garen. The corpse inexplicably speaks a haunting nursery rhyme moments before the palace alarm sounds. Guards swarm the tunnels, calling Merrick the Fury and attacking. He and Cam flee into the sewers as floodwaters burst through, sweeping toward them. Using his wind magic, Merrick saves Cam from drowning, and together they barely escape the underground deluge. In Chapter 22, Aeduan races through the red sails, tracking Isolde to the Amonra River. When she leaps into the raging current, he follows. The two are battered by the river until they manage to anchor themselves to a rock before the deadly falls. Exhausted but alive, they drag themselves onto a cliffside ledge. After finding nearby ruins hidden in the forest, Aeduan leads Isolde there to rest. When he asks why the purist priest Corlent hunts her, Isolde reacts in fear. Aeduan confesses that Corlent hired him to capture her, showing her the cursed arrowhead meant to kill her. Isolde reveals Corlent already tried once and failed. Realizing she owes Aeduan multiple life debts, she vows to repay him. When she learns Monk of Rain still lives, hope returns. Aeduan, conflicted by her gratitude, leaves the ruins, silently resolving to use Isolde's debt to his advantage. In Chapter 23, Caden and Safi enter the Gilded Rose, a red sails tavern enchanted by glamour magic. There, Caden confronts Admiral Kahina, demanding information about a captured Kartoran cutter and its crew. Kahina mocks him, claiming to command the largest Red Sails fleet. When threats fail, she challenges them to win the answer in a game of Taro. Safi accepts, and after a tense round, wins the hand. Forced to keep her word, Kahina reveals the truth. The Kartoran ship has been taken into her fleet, and its crew sold to the arena for Bailey's slaughter, an upcoming festival fight where witches are forced to battle. The revelation hardens Caden's resolve, turning his charm into fury. Without another word, he and Safi leave the Gilded Rose, Kahina's laughter trailing behind them as they realize their next move must lead into the deadly arena itself. In Chapter 24, Vivia inspects the palace storeroom breach caused by the Fury, realizing her secret smuggling route for fox supplies has been exposed. When she discovers the dead intruder has 9 fingers, like the body found at Linde's greenhouse, she suspects a connection to the old Nines gang. Styx reports that the Fury has a young companion and reveals she tracked the boy to a tenement in Old Town. Vivia orders surveillance, not capture, but when they check the storeroom's grain supplies, they find everything corrupted by shadow magic. Her months of secret trade are ruined, and Vivia's composure finally breaks. Meanwhile, Merrick and Cam take refuge in a bathhouse. As Merrick hides the black lines spreading across his chest, Cam insists they seek help for the dark magic infecting the city. Their argument erupts into fury, ending with Cam storming out after confronting Merrick about his blindness and self-deception. In Chapter 25, Isolde dreams herself into Esme's crumbling tower in Poznan, where the puppeteer seems delighted to see her. For the first time, Isolde appears physically present within the dreaming, and Esme uses her magic to connect their locations. When Esme realizes Isolde travels with the Blood Witch, she grows hostile and invades Isolde's mind, searching her memories. Discovering that the purist priest, Corlant, hunts Isolde, Esme is shocked and suggests Isolde might be the prophesied Kar Awin. To test her, Esme demonstrates her gruesome method of killing cleaved by severing their threads, claiming she can teach Isolde to do the same. Horrified, Isolde lies to escape the dreaming. She wakes as Edwin trains nearby, and their tense banter turns into a physical sparring match. When she demands answers about his past, Edwin denies belief in the Kar Awin, dismissing Isolde's hopes even as a reluctant bond deepens between them. In Chapter 26, Safi awakens in the inn to find the building under attack. Smoke fills the room as Beatty's sea fire consumes the lower floors. Vanessa realizes her supposed allies, the Beatties, have betrayed her and panics, revealing they were behind the destruction of her ship. With the fire closing in, Caden reluctantly removes her iron collar, and Vanessa unleashes her Iron Witch powers, forming weapons and shields to fight through the flames. When she turns on the Hellbards, Safi intervenes, using her Truth Witch power to confirm Caden's promise that they will not harm her or Vanessa. Trusting his truth, Vanessa frees them, and together the group escapes the burning inn. Meanwhile, miles away, Edwin and Isolde hear the explosion and investigate, spotting Beatty and Red Sail's ships traveling upriver towards Saldonica. Realizing a battle is imminent, they prepare to flee before the combined pirate armies reach the falls. In Chapter 27, Merrick searches the city and the cisterns for Cam, but she has vanished. Haunted by her last words, he realizes how often he has misjudged others and his own purpose. While tracking a strange shadow wind, Merrick spots the assassin Garen, who should be dead, alive on the southern wharf. The man bears the same black marks spreading across Merrick's body. Determined to follow, Merrick enters a tavern called the Cleaved Man, where he finds Visor Seret Linde also alive, accusing him before soldiers and ordering his arrest as the Fury. Meanwhile, Safi, Vanessa, and the Hellbards escape the burning inn and flee through Saldonica's streets, pursued by baited soldiers. They hide inside a noblewoman's carriage, where Vanessa collapses from blood loss until treated with a tonic. The woman reveals the Red Sails and Beatties have united under the Raider King, threatening both Marstock and New Brevna. In Chapter 28, Isolde and Edwin descend the cliffs near the Amonra Falls in tense silence. Isolde, still hurt from learning she is not the Kar Awin, reflects on her broken hopes, but follows Edwin through the cursed contested lands, where relics and corpses from ancient wars litter the ground. Edwin explains the land is not cursed by gods, but by human bloodshed. When he detects Red Sails nearby, he leaves Isolde to investigate. The ground trembles as a massive winged creature, a mountain bat, swoops overhead, forcing Isolde to flee. Meanwhile, Edwin follows the scent of a child to a Red Sails camp. He kills 7 slavers, learning from their leader that the raider King Ragnar awaits them in the north. Inside the camp's tent, Edwin finds and rescues a young Nomatsi girl before carrying her out through the carnage as the mountain bat retreats into the sky. In Chapter 29, Merrick falls into a trap at the Cleaved Man Tavern, surrounded by royal forces led by Serret Linde. Using his wind magic, he ignites spilled ox tea and sets the tavern ablaze, cutting through soldiers to reach the back door where the shadows call to him. Meanwhile, Vivia follows Styx to Pin's Keep's cellar and discovers a hidden passage to the lost Undercity beneath New Brevna. There, she and Styx find signs of life, the Nines gang hiding below. They witness Cam captured by Garen, revealed to be her brother. After Styx leaves to summon soldiers, Vivia stays and watches as Garen taunts Cam and cuts off her pinky to initiate her back into the Nines. Merrick arrives, killing Garen's men and rescuing Cam. When Garen flees, Vivia appears and decapitates him, saving them both. The estranged siblings finally face each other in shocked relief. In Chapter 30, Safi, Caden, Vanessa, and the Hellbards travel by carriage with the slaver woman toward the underground entrance of the Bailey Arena. When they arrive, Vanessa swiftly subdues a dozen guards with her Iron Witch magic. Inside the damp tunnels, Safi leads them to the slave pens, where countless captives beg for release. Among them are the captured Kartoran crew. Caden asks Vanessa to free them, but the Empress demands proof of his loyalty. She forces him to remove his Hellbard chain, triggering unbearable agony as black magic spreads through his body. Safi pleads for mercy while Vanessa tortures him, demanding his oath to sail her to Asmir. Broken and writhing, Caden finally agrees, and Safi confirms his truth. Vanessa restores the chain, ending the torment. As Caden collapses, Safi stays beside him, shaken by his pain but moved by his quiet gratitude and whispered thanks. In Chapter 31, Edwin returns to Isolde, carrying a frightened young Nomatsi girl he rescued from the Red Sails. The child, whom he calls Owl, clings to him, revealing flashes of color in her threads for the first time. Isolde learns Edwin plans to take the girl north to find her family, while Isolde must continue south towards Safi before the raider armies arrive. Realizing this is their parting, Isolde feels torn between duty and loneliness. Before leaving, Edwin gives her the iron arrowhead she once carried. They exchange few words, and Isolde sets off alone along the river. Meanwhile, in Saldonica, Merrick and Vivia help a wounded Cam flee the Nines massacre, but shadows engulf the city as a monstrous darkness hunts them. Trapped in the tunnels, Merrick confronts the being known as the Fury, his lost friend Cullen, just before a massive flood strikes. In Chapter 32, Vivia refuses to abandon her brother and dives into the flood after Merrick, using her Tide Witch power to track and catch him as the underground current drags them through the tunnels. Fighting exhaustion, she propels them upward and finds a way out through a cave-in, helping Merrick reach the surface alive. Though wordless, their shared survival finally reconciles the siblings. Meanwhile, Isolde continues toward the river and discovers a freshly killed Beydid scout. Realizing the fragile alliance between the Beydids and Red Sails is collapsing. As she nears the riverbank, she finds corpses scattered across the floodplain and sees an army of Red Sails approaching. With no cover or escape route, Isolde feigns death among the bodies, lying motionless as the soldiers' launch lands nearby. Her only chance to survive as the threads of war tighten around her. In Chapter 33, Edwin travels north through the contested lands with Owl, struggling to balance his impatience with protecting the frail child. When a distant cannon sounds from the south, he realizes violence has erupted near Isolde's path. His witchery detects armies converging from both north and south, the Beydids and Red Sails, forcing him to flee through the forest with Owl on his back. Meanwhile, in Bailey's underground arena, Safi discovers imprisoned New Brevnan sailors claiming allegiance to Princess Vivia. They reveal their ship, now filled with sea fire, is bound for Lovitz to destroy the city and that Prince Merrick has been killed. Shocked, Safi confirms the truth through her magic. The sailors beg for freedom to warn their people, and Vanessa finally relents, unlocking every collar and cell. The arena descends into chaos as the freed slaves riot, marking the beginning of Bailey's slaughter. In Chapter 34, Merrick and Vivia climb from the flooded tunnels to the surface, emerging in their mother's overgrown garden. As they recover, Merrick reflects on his past hatred and realizes Vivia was never his enemy. His true battle has always been with himself. Their reconciliation is cut short when wind drums echo across Lovitz, signaling an attack at the northern wharf. The siblings fly toward the chaos and discover the harbor engulfed in black and white sea fire, spreading uncontrollably from a New Brevnan warship. At the blockade, Vivia learns the ship once belonged to her Fox fleet and was hijacked with Seafire aboard. Overcome with guilt for her role in the disaster, she resolves to act. While Merrick confronts the shadow creature overhead, Vivia dives into the burning harbor, using her Tide Witch magic to reach the ship before it destroys the dam, choosing to sacrifice herself to save her people. In Chapter 35, Isolde hides among corpses as a group of Red Sail soldiers and their Fire Witch leader discuss recapturing the child and attacking the Badiids to seize Saldonica. When the Fire Witch burns the dead, his flames nearly expose her, but a distant horn and cannon fire draw the men away. Burned yet alive, Isolde escapes and struggles between fleeing south to safety or turning north toward Edwin and Owl. When a surge of fiery magic shakes the forest, she chooses to run toward danger. Meanwhile, Edwin flees with Owl as battle erupts across the contested lands. Arrows strike him repeatedly, and a Badiid rider captures Owl. Bleeding and weak, Edwin pursues until he encounters the Fire Witch who set the forest ablaze. As Edwin prepares to fight, shadows consume the Fire Witch, revealed to be cleaving him, just as Isolde appears and finishes the kill, saving Edwin's life. In Chapter 36, Vivia reaches the water bridge and boards her captured Fox warship, slaughtering the Badiid pirates aboard. She discovers the hose releasing Seafire and confronts Visor Serret Linde, who reveals he betrayed New Brevna to Ragnar in exchange for the throne. As Linde's body twists and oozes black tar, a darker entity speaks through him, claiming it will destroy the city and seize the hidden well. Realizing the dam must hold, Vivia ignites the ship to stop its advance, sacrificing herself as it explodes, saving Lovitz from destruction. Meanwhile, deep underground, Safi leads an escape amid chaos as freed slaves riot. When a Flamehawk demon bursts into the arena, she saves Empress Vanessa from its path but is nearly consumed by fire. Caden shields her, revealing a shadowed power within himself. Surviving the inferno, Safi rises transformed, reborn with renewed determination to fight. In Chapter 37, Merrick confronts Cullen, now fully transformed into the Fury. Cullen claims he embodies vengeance and justice, revealing that Merrick died in the Jana explosion and that their souls are bound. If one dies, the other will too. He urges Merrick to join him in destroying Lovitz, but Merrick refuses. When the ship carrying Seafire explodes below, Cullen vows to finish the destruction himself. Seeing Vivia falling towards her death, Merrick chooses to save her instead of the city, breaking from Cullen's control and using only his own magic to dive after his sister. Meanwhile, Safi and her allies escape Bailey's slaughter, battling through chaos, fire, and crocodile-infested waters. Led by Caden and the Hellbards, they fight their way to the harbor where Admiral Kahina claims their ship. To prevent more bloodshed, Safi challenges Kahina to a duel, no weapons, only strength and wit, to decide the ship's fate. In Chapter 38, Edwin and Isolde recover after defeating the Fire Witch, realizing she used Dark Void magic instead of Thread Witchery. Isolde removes the arrows from Edwin's chest, healing him as rain begins to fall and the battle nears their position. She reveals that the Badiids and Red Sails are both hunting Owl, who is far more important than they thought. As they prepare to search for her, a massive mountain bat swoops down, forcing them to fight again. Elsewhere, Merrick dives through Cullen's storm to save his falling sister Vivia. Rejecting Cullen's corrupted power, he uses his own strength to catch her before they crash, surviving together just as the dam begins to break. Meanwhile, Safi duels Admiral Kahina for control of the ship. Beaten and bloodied, she accepts Kahina's secret magical bargain to win, securing their escape, only to sense through her threadstone that Isolde is in danger once more. In Chapter 39, Isolde and Edwin battle the mountain bat that returns during the chaos. When Edwin injures it, Isolde realizes the creature is magically bound to Owl through sunset-colored threads. Following the bond, they locate Owl at the waterfall, guarded by soldiers. As they fight through the Red Sails and Badiids, Owl's Earthwitch power erupts, shaking the ground and saving them from drowning. The mountain bat protects her as Edwin and Isolde rescue the child and escape up the cliffs. Meanwhile, Merrick and Vivia unite their powers on the water bridge to stop the flood from destroying Lovitz. Joined by Styx and other witches, they rebuild the dam through combined magic, securing the city. Later, Edwin carries Owl north, with Isolde following close behind. They decide to bring the girl to the Carowin Monastery, and Edwin realizes Isolde's magic is tied to the void, marking her as the true Weaver Witch. In Chapter 40, Safi recovers aboard the Kartoran ship after her duel with Kahina, tended by Caden while sailing toward Marstock. During treatment, he reveals that Hellbards were once heretics stripped of their magic and bound to the Emperor by enchanted nooses that protect them but kill them if removed. When Empress Vanessa arrives, she offers Safi a choice: return to Kartora, or travel with her to Asmir to purge corruption from her court before gaining freedom. Safi chooses Asmir and insists the Hellbards accompany her as her guards, securing their lives. That night, in the forest camp, Isolde attempts to reach Safi through her threadstone, and succeeds, dreamwalking into Safi's mind. They speak briefly, reaffirming their bond before the connection fades. Later, Isolde and Edwin share a quiet moment under firefly light, making wishes, hers for answers about her magic, his left unspoken. In Chapter 41, Queen Vivia leads a memorial in Lovett's battle room, honoring those lost in the Seafire attack, including her brother Merrick, whom the city believes dead. She vows to rebuild New Brevna's strength, forge peace with Marstock, and restore unity. Privately, she knows Merrick survived and has left for the Sermayans with Ryber and Cam to seek a cure for his half-cleaved state. During the ceremony, she fulfills her duty as ruler, while Merrick watches the memorial from afar, hidden among mourners at the riverbank. As he listens to Ryber sing an old sea rhyme about forgiveness, Merrick realizes he's been the fool brother, blinded by pride, but given a second chance. Renewed by this realization, he decides to continue north in search of healing and redemption. With Cam and Ryber beside him, Merrick sets off finally at peace with leaving his crown and past behind.